Hey everybody, welcome to Northwest Small Batch Brewing. I am Steven, and as the video says, I thought it would be fun to do a video. Well, more fun for me because I want to see your comments on what you would do. But if you could pick and choose, right, what you want in an electric brewing system, what would you choose? What would be like things that would make the perfect brewing system for you? Now, it's going to be different for everybody because some people have different, they want one thing or another, and to other people that thing might not be important. But to give you some ideas, I'm going to go over what I would like to see, because the reason I'm kind of thought about this video is because honestly, for me at least, the perfect brewing system, I haven't seen it yet. We haven't gotten there, and I hope that means that there's still room for it to happen. But let's go down the list. So first thing is, I can tell you that the closest I've gotten is to the system I have, which is the Clawhammer system. There are some things that I think that the Clawhammer brewing system has that other systems don't have that are kind of game changers. So let's start there. Let's start with the Brew Basket. The Brew Basket on the Clawhammer system is like a mesh basket. It's not like the urn style. Like if you look at the Brazilla and the Anvil and the Grainfather, etc., they're like a solid metal tube. Now I have a mash and boil out in the garage that's the same kind of thing. It's not the same companies, but solid metal tube. And then what happens is, at least for me, I had a terrible time with the efficiency because you just couldn't get a good flow through the grain like you can get with a mesh basket. I mean, it's just night and day the difference. So if they could come up with a way to make a mesh basket for those systems, I think it would really help them out. The second thing is the recirculation on the Clawhammer system. I don't think I've ever seen one on any other system like it. It's a sprayer valve. And so when the pump goes through and it pulls the wort from the bottom, it sprays it from the lid over your wort. And it gives you really good amount of coverage. It doesn't just like dribble straight down. You don't have to find one of those diverters that still doesn't quite work but diverts it a little bit. I mean, this is a true sprayer. Works really well. So I think that would be something that would be good to have on every system. I don't know why all systems just don't use that. Quick release. Why doesn't every system have a quick release for any kind of tubing and stuff? Stop messing with clamps and stuff like that and screwing stuff on. Everything should have a quick release on it, in my mind. Central drain. This was another one I'd like. Now this does not exist on the Clawhammer system. Now this is a give or take, right? So some people will say they don't want the central drain at the bottom because they don't want every last bit of wort that's in the pot because they want to leave behind any of the protein and stuff that fell out of suspension. And that's why some people whirlpool. They don't want any true matter. Like if you pour your hops directly into the pot during the boil, you don't want those to get into the fermenter. So it does depend on how you do it. Like if you have an inline filter like they have on the Clawhammer or something like that, generally speaking, and I use a hop spider, for my hops. So a lot of times I want every last drop of liquid out of that pot. I will let the trub and stuff that collects happen in the fermenter. I have plenty of headspace in my fermenters that I'm fine with just letting it settle throughout the month of fermenting. It'll settle out. So a central drain with a concave bottom so it completely drains out would be ideal in my opinion. False bottom. Now, so here's what I was thinking. So another problem is cleaning the element. If you have an element that's actually in the pot, no matter what you do or how you try to clean, it gets this coating that you just cannot get off of it. You have to take scrubby pads and barkeeper's friend and go to town and try to get in all the nooks and crannies, and it's really annoying. Not only that, but because of that, you can't do small batches because the there's always going to be about a gallon or whatever of liquid underneath the element. The element has to be covered in liquid or it'll dry fire and it basically destroys the element. So you can't do really, like if you want to do 1 gallon batches, forget it. You just can't do it on the claw hammer. Well, on any system that has, an element that goes into the pot. So I'd love to see, like the system I have or other systems. I think Blickman has this new system, right? I think Larry was talking about it on his YouTube channel, where it's a separate base, and so the element is in that base, and it's actually that whole base I think is removable. So in that sense, you can bring the water all the way down to like a gallon at the end, and it's no problem because the element is underneath; it's not in the liquid. I'd love to see something like that, to be able to do smaller batches on those systems. A double lift out. What is that? Well, on the Brazilla, for example, when you have like a really heavy grain basket, you can lift it they're super heavy, right? So you can lift it halfway up and then latch it and let it drain right there. So you're only lifting it half the distance. It's also a good spot to put it where if you want to sparge. And then when it's pretty much drained, you can lift it the rest of the way and put it on the top brackets. So like a double lift, double bracket sort of system. I guess that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that beyond that, I like to have it being modular, so having the pump outside so that you can put a newer, maybe you want a better pump than what comes with it. You can do that. You can replace hoses. Basically, it makes it so that you can keep your system going at full blast for a very long time. It's not going to wear out because you can replace all those little pieces. And kudos, by the way, I mean, this is not a Clawhammer video, but kudos to Clawhammer. They have been, initially they didn't have all their parts. Like you couldn't get the individual parts, you couldn't get the O-rings and stuff on their website. And I was like, well, it's a modular system. If you can't buy all those things, then it's kind of annoying that it's modular, but you can't actually get the replacement parts. They do now have, from what I can see, pretty much everything. I mean, I think you can get every single part. Like if you have a need to have a spare or you want to replace part of it, it's on their website. You can get it. And so kudos to them for doing that and making that available to people. It makes it easy to get parts that maybe wear out over time. That's it. I'd love to see what you guys think is the ideal system for you. Or if you have a system that you're using now that you think is perfect, put it in the comments and tell us all, why you think it's the perfect system. I'll bet you there's things I haven't thought of. I guarantee it that you guys will mention in the comments. That'll be like, oh yeah, that's not a bad idea. So hit the comments, hit the subscribe, watch my next video, and I'll see you in about a week. Cheers, and keep on brewing.